Hello, I'm starting a Facebook Live event here around 10 o'clock Pacific time. My name is Suzanne Anderson. I'm a psychologist, a leadership consultant, executive coach, and the co-author of the now book, The Way of the Mysterial Woman, Upgrading How You Live, Love, and Lead. That's who I am, and I'm just going to give you all a moment to start to come on in to the to my little room here, my circle. I'll just say things about what I'm doing right now while we're waiting for others to join us. I want to mention that my work for the last decades actually has been dedicated to figuring out an embodied, what I call, pathway for women to awaken their full feminine and masculine potential. And this is a potentiality I've come to call mysterial, actually, because I couldn't find a word to describe this way of being almost like a new species of woman that we were starting to see emerge from our university certificate women's leadership programs. And my own sense of what this emergence is about is that we are, in fact, being called forth right now, we could say, by evolution herself. That this emergence of these really new ways of being, of doing in the world are arising now because they're simply needed. So again, I want to welcome you as you're joining me here today or tonight. I recognize some names that are abroad. Great to see you. And of course others who might watch this video later. So we're going to spend about 20 minutes and I hope you can stay for the full conversation here in the middle of whatever your day or evening is bringing you. Because I want to kind of energize the instrument of our being and doing in the world as women through a little process. Let's begin with just ask you to take a moment to think about the idea that there's something wrong with you, or how does this live in you? This idea that there's something wrong with me. Usually, for the women that I've worked with, which is hundreds of women now, this forming identity belief got laid down very early, that there's something wrong with me. Because ultimately, I mean, we could look at this at a higher level, I don't seem to fit in to this hypermasculine world that I'm in. Or I sometimes feel, you can ask yourself again, do you sometimes feel like an alien, maybe when you were growing up? You were seeing things other people weren't seeing, or feeling things other people weren't feeling. It's really consistently present in the women I worked with, and it began to become evident to us in our research that the deep encoded, literally in the cells of the body, encoded in women of I am not enough. Now that has potentially its own origins in your family dynamic growing up, also potentially in the culture that you grew up, in the time you were growing up, in terms of how women were valued. But it also goes back in time through our lineages. So we now know that we've been inside a masculine paradigm of wholeness for 5,000 years. That's a very long time. We had before that 50,000 years of the matriarchy, so just to put it in perspective. But still, in terms of recorded history and our ways of understanding and identifying ourselves as humans, we've had a sense of our identity for 5,000 years being shaped by this masculine model. So this idea of I'm not enough is not just in the mind, is the point. And this is what I want to focus on in our little session today. I just want to juice up a little bit the fact that this deep and fundamental way of seeing ourselves, others, in the world is actually a genetic code. It's actually, and the work that I do with women, and this has been the research really for years, was to try to understand, well, how do we uninstall this code? Like, how do we uninstall it if it's not just an idea in the mind? And then how do we reinstall a code that is more aligned with this potentiality that's seeking to emerge? In this case, we'll use the liberating belief of the one I mentioned, the I am not enough, of I am enough just as I am. How do we install that code as more than just an idea? So if you're just hooking into the call, I want to welcome you again. I'm Suzanne Anderson, and we're going to do a little juicing up, as I just said, of the instrument of our expression in the world. So this means that we cannot really come, let's say, midwife or give birth to the next level of our own expression in the world unless we actually come down and into the body. And this is the good news and the bad news, because to come down and into the body is not comfortable. We actually have to make contact with the feelings we haven't wanted to have contact with before. We haven't been ready or capable of having contact with. We have to cultivate the emotional intelligence to do it. We have to cultivate the somatic intelligence to do that. So let's look at these three centers of intelligence. And in fact, I think there are four. What I wrote about in the little blurb was the head center of intelligence. We all know a lot about that. We'll talk about it in a moment. The heart center of intelligence. A little bit more about that. And then the body center of intelligence, which is the one that's just coming along now. But there's a fourth, I think, also, which is a spiritual intelligence. And on another time, I'm going to talk about that, because that's even more recent, I would say, cultivation and understanding of how we read the world through our spiritual awareness. But let's use these three for now: head and hara. Well, let's start with the idea that has actually been around for a long time in some of the ancient traditions, but more recently we're thinking of that these are all little brains. Like the head is, obviously, we know there's a brain, the head, there's also a heart brain, and there's also actually a gut brain. And that if we are going to do this work, as I'm saying, of uninstalling for women this first and primary belief of I am not enough, we have got to be willing to come in to these other centers of intelligence where this is encoded. And and I see there's some men joining us, and I welcome you as well. You can also look at whether this belief or how this belief lives in you, and certainly in what it is to create the conditions for women to actually uninstall this deep way of identifying with insufficiency, not being enough. Well, let's start at the opposite end of the way we usually think about our centers of intelligence, by coming into the hara. And let's actually just come into the hara right now. So even before I start talking about it, the hara, which is an Asian term, Japanese term for the belly center. But maybe what I can have you do is actually put your hands on your belly. And if you feel comfortable, soften your eyes closed so that you can shift out of the head center, which the visual dimension gets activated. Come into the belly and actually drop your breath right down into the belly center. So literally breathe through your hands, if your hands are over your belly. And wherever you are, if you're in the middle of your workday, this is actually an excellent thing to do. Come down into your base. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel your body in the chair. And feel your breath moving through the hara, through the gut, through the belly. Then just in this moment, as you're doing this, I want you to check in with yourself. This is the center of intelligence. The enteric nervous system is here. So I want you to just check in with what's so for you right now in the middle of your busy day or evening. What does your body have to say to you about your direct experience right now in the moment? And just let that information in. Sensation in the body brings us into the moment. And this is a beautiful thing. And our sense of our own sufficiency or enoughness happens in the moment. So even in this moment, let's just lay in this liberating belief into the belly center. Belly like a mountain. Let's lay in, drop in, I am enough just as I am. Not as an idea then, but as a body sensation. And when you let that into the body, let your body respond. Maybe your shoulders soften a bit. This enteric nervous system has more neurons in it than the spinal cord itself, and it sends information up to the brain. And we learn to listen to the information from the body and rest into this moment here of your own sufficiency, regardless of what's happening in your life right now, regardless of how you may feel very insufficient or incapable of meeting the challenges of your day through your mind. In this moment, feel your sufficiency. Okay, so take a deep breath now. One more breath through the belly. This belly like a mountain. And remember, this is where it starts then. This is the base up. We tend to go from the head down. We want to secure the base first. Get that engine firing, that deep feminine juice of our body. Now we go up to the heart center. If you want to, and you can do this, you could just rest your hands on the heart. Now this heart is our highly complex information processing center, and it communicates with the brain through the nervous system, the heart system, the vagal nerve. It is constantly streaming information. And we have actually come to know through the research that's been done in the last years, especially through HeartMath, just how much wisdom is here in the heart center. So now as you rest in the heart center, first of all, feel the difference between the belly center. What I want you to presence here is what feelings, moods, emotions are present right now without trying to change anything. So first you have to be with what is here and feel the quality of information that is different than the belly center. So think of this center as heart like the ocean, and literally that this is a center through which the feelings stream in and out, like the tides. Well, if we don't have connection here, we don't let that happen. Either we keep the feelings out or we hold on to them longer than might be healthy. So in this moment, you're just pressing what's so for you in the body. as the feelings move. Heart like the ocean. Now we know, again, through all the wonderful neuroscience that's happening and the research on the heart, we know that there's an engine here in the heart center that when aligned with the body and the mind can channel our creative genius. We actually need the emotional juice. So let's just drop in that the liberating belief that we put into the belly center here. I am enough, just as I am. I am enough, just as I am. Now let that feeling awaken. What are the feelings that are connected to that liberating, embodied belief? I am enough, just as I am. And then this is where the code really has to get shifted. You know, the belly center, the body carries the old code. Now we're into the heart. The heart opens up. We get the new code coming in here. And now we come up to the head center. And I want you just to let your awareness rest around the third eye, about 2 inches back from the brow. And just, first of all, notice the difference between the heart center, the hara center, and the head center. What's the quality of information in this center of intelligence? Tuning in here to the mind stream. And just feel into it, you know, sense into it, think into it this morning, this evening. What is the stream like? Is it fairly looping and closed? Is it open? Is it inspired? What do you notice? Think of this center here as mind like the sky. That's the ideal scenario. Not mind like a cave, but mind that this open horizon. So just let yourself see that horizon and the mindscape. Stretch your mind open a little wider. And I want us to do, you have the left brain here and the right brain. And again, in terms of the being undeveloped, we have the belly intelligence undeveloped, the gut center emotional intelligence, a little bit more understood, but still highly under-acknowledged. And then we have the right brain, the right side of the right hemisphere, which has all the creative expression, the imaginal. This part of us that actually brings us into the field of all possibilities. The left brain organizes rationally, analytically, beautiful. But so in this moment, see if you can move over into the right hemisphere of your head center for a moment. And I want you just to see the images that might arise when we put in the liberating belief of I am enough, just as I am. I am enough, just as I am. And let images arise of you expressing you in the world in this code. All right. So here are our 3 centers. And if you've still got your eyes softly closed, just want you to imagine there's like a pendulum lining up head, heart, and hara. And just get the internal anchor, you could say, of that feeling in yourself so that you can take it with you in the rest of your day or into your evening, wherever you are in terms of your time zone. See, the thing is, and if you bring your eyes back, if you want to bring your eyes back to be with me here in our closing moments, the thing is that it's almost as though the secret to awakening this next level of our potential is right under our nose, and we haven't seen it. We have been convinced that the potentiality we're seeking is we'll do all these fancy new things out here, we'll learn new tricks, we'll get a new physical regime, we'll stop eating this and start eating that, we'll get a new relationship, we'll get a new job, we'll move to a new country, we'll be more aligned with our purpose. It'll all change somehow there if we, as I sometimes say, we install new software. Now, I think software is great, and there are lots of programs to engage in and things to do at that level that increase our capacity. But where I'm interested, and I know there are many of you probably working in the same way, and many others who also are, I'm interested at the level of the operating system. Our operating system as women, and I also think as men right now, is outdated. It's simply inadequate to meet the complexity of these times. And we are going to have to uninstall it and reinstall an operating system that is aligned with our vision of the future, of a positive world of creative expression and love. This won't happen by just a few little tweaks to the way we are doing things now. It will take us actually going down and in. And as I've already said, the challenge here is that that's uncomfortable to do. I always say, in fact, in some of my early programs, women, one class and made T-shirts in the final retreat to make fun of that said, "Welcome discomfort," because that was the motto for the program. That I would always say to women, welcome discomfort. You know you're going in the right direction if you're uncomfortable. So then, okay, how are we going to make our way through this discomfort? And so I'm going to do a little thing next week calling it a 4-day reset, the Mysterial reset. And it's a kind of virtual retreat. I'm asking women and men could do it too, because I see there's some men here, to join me for 10 minutes a day. Actually, no, I don't know if men can join me, because I think you have to come into my women's group. Actually, you have to sign up for this thing. But if you're really interested, let me know. Anyway, 10 minutes a day, and I'm going to want to sort of dial up what it is to have peace, presence, and power in the body. And I see Marissa just put the link to my closed Facebook group, which it's called Mysterial Woman. And this, I think, links you to this links you to where you have to sign up for the retreat itself. It's free. I would love you to come and do it. It's a way to sort of 10 minutes a day, bathe in, be soaked in each one of the 4 fundamental yin and yang essences that I write about a lot in the book, that you can read about more on the website. But I want us to have like a little mini retreat with others, so that we can be nourished right now. You don't have to wait and do a program later. You can actually do this right away. So I hope that you'll consider joining me on that, and it'll be great to have the continuity, I think, over a few days. And I think I'll kind of let us close here now, because I did promise it would be short. And if anyone has any, maybe I'll just say, if anyone has any questions for me or anything you want me to respond to, Suzanne, I see your comment, and sorry your video wasn't working. I'm happy to respond for the next minute or so. But let me, great, yeah, good, Marissa, thank you. And let me end with this. Came to me this morning when I sat down to prepare for my time with you, by Terry Tempest Williams, wonderful writer. She said, "For far too long we have been seduced into walking a path that did not lead us to ourselves. Far too long we have said yes when we wanted to say no. And far too long we have said no when we desperately wanted to say yes. When we don't listen to our intuition, we're in the body, in the heart, we abandon our souls. And we abandon our souls because we are afraid if we don't, others will abandon us. So this is why I think community is so key right now, it matters, why I am launching Mysterial Murmuration, this Mysterial movement. We are actually going to need to find those in the tribe who are also in this process of transforming into a very new way of being in the world that has never been seen before from an evolutionary perspective, so that we can support each other in these emerging capacities and feel our belonging in a new world order that we actually are the ones to be shaping. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you take your awakened heart and head with fullness, with I am enough just as I am, into whatever it is that you have left to do in your day or evening. The mini retreat next week.